Hey guys, welcome to another Jovial Top 5.
Taylor, you seem a little animated today.
Well, that's because, Chris, we're doing Top 5 Animated Series. Woo. Oh boy, let's get this started.
It's actually not something I thought I would include on my list when I originally thought about this, but I've gone with regular show.
Ah, yeah.
Have you seen?
I haven't seen it,
show?
but I've seen bits of it.
Okay, growing up in my household, watch a lot of kids' TV shows, and I just started watching regular show, and I just thought it was great. It's so funny. Every episode, these two guys, there's Mordecai and Rigby. One's a blue jay, one's a raccoon, and they're just talking animals as you do. Every episode's like they have to do some dumb thing, or there's like just some everyday activity they need to do. But you can guarantee that every episode will end with some wacky thing happening, like otherworldly stuff, big dimensions and monsters, and just weird shit happens, and it's just crazy.
Don't look at our crotches while we synchronize our watches.
I'm not a big fan of the modern day like kids cartoon shows, but this one I just love it every time.
But the one thing you can trust us at is perfecting pointless skills on work time.
Wow, I really can't argue with that.
My number 5 is a show that's been out for a few years now called Rick and Morty. 2 seasons and the third one's on the way.
Is this your number 5?
My number 5, yeah.
A bit higher.
Yeah. Rick and Morty follows the adventures of Rick Sanchez and his grandson Morty Smith. It's basically like Doc and Marty from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And they're constantly going on these adventures through time and space where they bump into these wacky characters, and the show gets so dark. Like in the first episode, Morty's killed like a bunch of people, and you deal with themes like rape and drug abuse.
Oh,
and
really?
murder. Yeah, it gets really
I need
fucked.
to watch
But I just love it. I just think it's nuts how bizarre it gets.
Kill me, please.
Okay, but not because you told me to.
Getting darker.
Every episode's golden. There's no episode in that series that I think is bad. Like everyone's good.
Lick my balls! Yeah, say that all the time.
My numero cuatro is Wacky Races. Now, growing up, I always loved all like the Hanna-Barbera type cartoons, like Scooby-Doo and the Flintstones. I used to love all that kind of just silly little bite-sized cartoons you can just enjoy for the fun of it. And Wacky Races was always my favorite. I always felt like watching it, even as a kid, it really was this competition that I got behind. I had my favorite, which was the Anthill Mob, the little 20s mobile with all the little gangsters in it, which was awesome. But every episode, I might change who I'd back depending on what happens. Like if someone does a cool trick, or like Pat Pending might turn his car into this little helicopter with the guns and stuff, and it was just great. And I always got behind it, and I was really enthralled in each race, and just wanted to see who would win. Like my life depended on it, but it didn't. But yeah, that's my childhood TV show right there.
On the way out, Wacky Races.
For my number 4 is a little anime series called Attack on Titan.
Yes,
And humanity is stuck behind these walls, and there are these giant humanoid titans living on the outside, and eventually the titans are able to get through. And our 3 main characters have no choice but to join the military to fight off these titans. And I really like this show because it's a really cool original idea. The equipment they use to fight them is such a cool idea. It's really hard to describe it, and you couldn't really do it in live action, but it looks so cool. The way they fly through the air, grab
What about
onto
that
them.
great live action film they did of it?
I don't remember that one. The animation alone is awesome. The soundtrack is so good. But also, it has its famous opening intros.
Right.
And Attack on Titan just has the most badass one ever. I've shown people that and they're like, I have to watch the show now after that intro. There's real stakes constantly. Like, these things happen, and it's just like, we have to fix it, Otherwise everyone's going to die. And a lot of people throw their lives away to get to the goal, and it's sort of admirable to watch these characters knowing they're not going to make it, achieve their goal. Attack on Titan, if you're not really into anime like I was, it's a good one to get into.
I feel like my mind was just going off track now, but I've got to get back to the task. Yeah,
I know what you mean.
It was a little bit of a segue that I was trying out there. Samurai Jack is my number 3. Got to get back to the past. When I first heard about the show, I thought it was going to be this crappy American attempt at making a cool anime, but I gave it a chance anyway, and boy, am I glad I did.
The key to Akko's destruction lies in the past. I will find my way there. I only begun to fight. Who else wants some?
Yeah, it's about this guy, Jack, Samurai Jack. He's battling this evil demon beast thing,
Bruised.
and he throws Jack just forward thousands of years, probably into the future. Jack has to find his way back to the past. That's what the whole show is about. The art in Samurai Jack, right, is like just it's very unique. The way it's animated, like make it really cinematic, and even the ratio of the screen size changes.
Changing, you know.
Yeah,
It's got a real style of its own.
Yeah,
totally.
It's very unique and it's fantastic. The 5th season, which has just come out like 10 years after the
final
show
season.
finished, which is the final, they've said, and oh boy, they've stepped it up a notch. This new season's probably my favorite so far. The show just goes from strength to strength, and that's why it's my number 3.
Leave here now and live, or stay and face your destiny.
Our destiny is your death!
Very well. Aku destroyed everything.
My number 3 is Batman the Animated Series. I know it should be higher, I'm sorry. I just like the other two more. This show I watched when I was a kid, and it was my introduction to Batman, and it still is the most definitive version of The Dark Knight, I feel, you know?
Yeah.
You got Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as Batman and the Joker, just the best versions of those characters to date.
That's right. You're always blaming me. And the children wonder why we fight.
This series just chronicles Batman's adventures, just random stories. Yeah, it's just, I think it really kept Batman alive for a long time. It came out after the Tim Burton film. I copied the art style. You know, the art style, the look of Gotham in the show is very similar to the Tim Burton films.
Yeah, for sure.
And there was a period of time, I think, where that kind of kept Batman in everyone's minds. It's got the kind of kids feel to it. Nothing really terrible happens, but it still captures the feeling of Batman. And the villains, they might not do anything nasty, but just they got all the characters right. And there's some really cool setups there, some really cool storylines, and I won't go too much into it because I feel like we're going to be talking about it a bit later on. So that's all I'll say for now.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
My number 2 is that zany stop-motion classic Robot Chicken.
Oh boy.
This is just a sketch show basically with little dolls. It's just a stop-motion comedy
Very simple.
sketch series.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. Created by Seth Green and buddies.
Yeah, it's mainly Seth Green.
I forget the names.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just hilarious. And some of the things I love about it the most are just the really short little things
Super
that
short
throw.
ones,
Yeah, like there's like a little girl skipping along a footpath, walking with her mother.
La 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 la.
And that's it. That's a joke. Just a callback to that old folklore thing.
Yeah.
You know,
One where a guy holds his sneeze in and his brains blow out.
Yeah.
It's super quick and I laugh every time seeing it.
Overall, it's just a hilarious show, and I mean, I love sketch comedy as it is. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but Jovial Entertainment dabbles in sketch comedy. But yeah, I just feel like Robot Chicken is just, it's a great comedy, and it's animated, but it's a different kind of animation because it's little dollies.
It's almost time for your quinceañera. I need you to run to the store.
Oh, fine!
After watching Attack on Titan, I was introduced to Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is considered the best animated anime series. It's the highest ranked on IMDb, it's the highest ranked on myanime.com. And the story is about two young boys who use alchemy to try and bring back their deceased mother, which is a taboo. And unfortunately, the curse backfires. One of them loses both his limbs, and the other loses his entire body. His soul is kept into a suit of armor. And the two boys decide they're going to look for a Philosopher's Stone to try and reclaim what they lost. That's the beginning of it. And it branches out into this cataclysmic story. It starts with these two kids just trying to bring their mum back to life. And I was blown away by this show. The cast rivals Game of Thrones. So many characters are in this, and they've all got interesting backstories and they're interesting characters. It deals with some really heavy themes like genocide. Like there's some real parallels to like the wars in the Middle East and World War II. And there's some really good character arcs. The fights in it, animation, it's all great. Like I said, Attack on Titan's a good first one to get into. I recommend Fullmetal Alchemist after that.
Maybe I could lend you a hand, Fullmetal.
My number 1, which may have been spoiled a little earlier, is Batman the Animated Series, the classic 90s animated series. You know the one. I've already mentioned that one. We talked about that one.
Yeah, talk about some more.
Please, may I? I'd probably say this is maybe even one of my favorite shows in general, let alone animated shows. Like, same as you, it introduced me to Batman and in the world of Batman and his villains and all that sort of thing, and which I'm now just a massive fan of. Mark Hamill's portrayal of the Joker is just made me fall in love with the Joker as a character, and just maybe a little obsessed with the Joker. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure.
But I digress.
But it kind of proved to the world that, you know, cartoons aren't just for kids. Like, it was definitely one of those shows that was just like, hey, like, adults can watch this. And now watching it back now, which I do regularly, it holds up, and I appreciate it now more as an adult than I did as a kid. I think I understand some of the themes, and I can appreciate even just things like the music in it, you know? Yeah, it's all that sort of subtleties that you don't pick up as a kid that I can now and appreciate a whole lot more. And the other thing is that it's an Emmy award-winning show.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, Heart of Ice.
Heart of
right?
Ice, yeah. Completely rewrote the character of Mr. Freeze.
Like, you just feel really bad for Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, totally. And also Harley Quinn.
Oh, of course, yeah. The show introduced Harley Quinn to the world. She was made super popular and canonized, all thanks to Batman the Animated Series.
Say hello to your new, improved Harley Quinn.
Yeah, since this animated series of Batman, there have been plenty more Batman animated series, but nothing just holds up, I don't think.
Nothing compares to the original.
Definitely, this is just by far the best. Yeah, I don't know, it's just such a perfect show for me anyway, right here. And that's why it's my number one.
My number one is Avatar: The Last Airbender. And this is a show I avoided for a long time, and I thought, that looks like a kid's show. Yeah. And years later, when it was finished, I started to hear the reputation it got, and I sat down and watched it, and I was completely blown away. The amount of world building in this show is phenomenal. The main story is these two kids find a young boy named Aang in an iceberg, and here's the Avatar. There are 4 main tribes: fire, earth, water, and air. And Avatar is able to use all of these powers to combat evil. Yeah. So Avatar's been gone for hundreds of years, so the world's at war. The thing about Avatar that's really original and cool is that all 4 nations have a different kind of element they can use as weapons.
Right.
Each fighting style is based off an actual fighting style.
The Firebenders are steeped in my preferred style, Northern Shaolin Kung Fu.
Each nation has like their own culture, their own way of life, and it's really cool going through the seasons, seeing the world building. It's like building blocks, you know. Each episode you learn more and more, and it makes this really cool world, and the scope is massive in this show, you know. As you were talking about with Batman, you say it's one of your favourite shows. Same for me for Avatar. One of my all-time favourite TV shows. One thing I really want to go to is the characters. Zuko and Iroh, I think, have one of the best character arcs in the whole series, possibly in any TV show or movie I've seen, particularly Zuko. And he's the rough prince who wants to catch the Avatar. They get really deep with their relationship.
I'm begging you, Prince Zuko. It's time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions. Who are you? And what do you want?
He does a lot of things that you get really disappointed in him with. You're not just watching the show, they become like real people. Yeah. And I was watching it, and he does certain actions, I'm like, Zuko, what are you doing? And I was disappointed, and I like hated the episode. And then when you look back, you're like, that was such a brilliant episode because of what it did, how it made me feel. You know, I wasn't just watching like Dragon Ball Z, Goku being silly, taking your time getting to Namek, but like with Avatar, actually, like, I'm judging the characters and their decisions because they feel so real. Yeah, like I said, the animation's brilliant, the fighting style is really cool, all the different elements working against each other. The world building's amazing. Just everything I can think of in that show is just 10 out of 10. Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's definitely worthy of your time. One of the best shows I've ever seen.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys, for joining Taylor and myself for another Jovial Entertainment Top 5. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, had a lot of fun doing this, and yeah, it's great to talk about some animated series because I think a lot of the animated films and movies and shows don't get enough recognition these days. So it's cool to talk about it some more. So yeah, if you want to check out some other stuff, we've got more top 5s, some skits, reviews, whole works. It's all here. Got lots of stuff.
Check them out. Like and subscribe.
Yeah,
you know what to do.
Peace out.